Hi, welcome back to English 111 Online. This week we're going to continue to do research for Core Project 3. And so just review Core Project 3 assignment sheet again. I'll keep this assignment sheet up so that you can continue to monitor it and refer back to it. Remember that this is 5 to 6 sources you're finding for the paper, and the paper will be 5+ pages. And as I said, don't worry about that, because after you put in all the information that I ask you for, you'll have your page requirement with no problem. So first of all, you're going to the Global Goals web page, and you're going to pick one of the first 16 goals, and you're going to read and take notes on information that you find at this website. So this is your first source. If you're working on Goal 3, it does not have an author, so it would be, this is the title of the page, and of course you would want to put that in quotation marks and also capitalize that correctly, and then period inside the quotation marks. The next thing is who published this, and we can see it's United Nations, UN.org up here. So this would be the organization that published it. And remember, when we put that in italics, and then a date of publication, and you can scroll down and look for it, but I'm going to tell you, you can see when the copyright was updated down here. Let's see. If that has a date on it. Okay. See, the thing is, it doesn't have a date on it. And so the important thing is that, or the thing to remember when you're doing it in MLA format is, if it doesn't have the date anywhere, you look for it and you can't find it, just skip it. And then would come your URL, which you get from the browser up here. You copy that and paste it, and then the day that you accessed it. So this is going to be your first source. Don't try to start this paper without coming here first and learning as much as you can. Particularly if you will go to the targets and indicators and pick language from 3 of these to help you with your research. For instance, this down here, strengthen the capacity of all countries, in particular developing countries, for early warning, risk reduction, and management of national and global health risks, and international health regulations, capacity and health emergency preparedness, percentage of bloodstream infections due to selected antimicrobial resistant organisms. You want to use some of this language in order to do your research where you're looking for your solutions. Substantially increase health financing and the recruitment, development, training, and retention of the health workforce in developing countries, especially in least developed countries and small island developing states, and health worker density and distribution. Maybe that's what you want to look at. And the solution then, of course, would be to get more health workers in there to help. So notice that the global goal is focused on those areas which are most in need of having the goal met. So as you're doing your research, make sure that you keep it focused on globally. Where in the world is this really a big problem? And then what can we do to make it better in that area of the world? It's global, not local. So don't worry about what we do here yet. We're going to put some of that in the concluding paragraph, but for the bulk of your paper, you're looking at those developing countries that are really having a problem that these goals are meant to help with. So keep it globally focused. You're going to be looking for information that's going to go in your introduction paragraph. And so we have, I have highlighted it here. What are the UN 17 global goals? What's the particular goal you're writing about? What are the targets for your goal? What are the solutions for your goal? So you're going to need to research to find the answers to these questions. We're also going to be working on our background paragraph. And for the background paragraph, you're going to explain why the goal is important. In other words, what is the problem so severe so that it needs this global goal to take care of it. What are some facts and figures about your goal? Find facts that show the severity or the size of the problem, and I'm going to change that size to magnitude because I like that word better. And this is what you want to show. It's severe, the magnitude of it, the immensity of it, whatever you can to show that this goal is really needed. We need this a lot. Why does it matter? That's background information. So this is what we're looking for, the first two paragraphs. If you scroll all the way to the bottom of your document, you can see this is kind of the suggested organization. You're going to have your first paragraph, which is your introduction, your second paragraph, which is your background. And next week, we're going to start writing the solution paragraphs, 3 paragraphs with solutions. We'll eventually get to this rebuttal or refutation, and then the conclusion. And when we get to the conclusion, we can mention some of those local things that we can do. But we're not going to go with a local focus. We're going to go with the global focus for the bulk of the paper. All right, so that document is still there. And I'm telling you, my number one way of finding stuff would be to go to NC Live. NC Live is a great source. And if you get some of that language from the targets on the Global Goals page and put it in a search engine for NC Live, you'll find exactly what you need. So look at that. Also, you can get information from some of these other sources that I've listed here. These are just some places to look. The worst thing you can do is just go to Google and type in World Health or something like that, because you're going to get so many things that are not related to anything you can use for this paper. So don't even waste your time doing it that way. If you get stuck as you're going along and need me to make a suggestion for how to get unstuck, I will be glad to do that. So please let me know. Let me help you. I won't do the research for you, but I can help you get unstuck. And fortunately, because it's interesting to find out this information, it's going to take a lot of clicking, looking, skimming, and then when you find something that is on point, something that you really want to use, then don't forget to take notes on it, make notes for how the page will be cited, like I just did for the Global Goals page there. Make your notes for that, and I would even, go up to the browser and copy and paste into my notes document the URL, so you can go back there and look if you want to. But try to get it, take notes as you go, and maybe you won't have to go back and look if you put enough notes down as you're looking. I have put a pacing guide up here for by Sunday of this week. You should have your introduction paragraph, your background paragraph completed. I'm going to take a look at that. You're going to submit it to me, and I'm going to take a look at it and make sure that you're on track, that your thesis statement is good. And if you don't have your background completed by the time you turn that in, that's fine. I'm also going to ask you to turn in the essay with your first solution paragraph written. And I'll take a look at that, and I can go back and look at the background then when I look at that. So there are a couple of things I'm going to be looking for in the introduction, particularly the thesis statement. But anything that I've told you needs to go in the introduction, that needs to be put in there so that your reader will know what you're talking about. April 3rd, we're going to have the background completed and be into the body paragraph. By April 10th, we're going to add the opposition and refutation and the conclusion, and you're going to submit to Smart Thinking so that by April 17th, you can make all of your revisions and have those turned in. That is the Sunday before spring break, and so if you get it turned in that Sunday before spring break, you can relax and enjoy your spring break, not have this hanging over your head. Okay, so I have given you 2 new documents. This one is kind of a short document, and this is, it says use the information to research and write your core project 3. I tell you what the introduction paragraph needs. And so the introduction paragraph, as we did with Core Project 1, it needs an attention grabber. How does this strengthen the argument that you're getting ready to make? And look at the Overview tab on the page for your chosen goal for attention-getting statements to begin with. Or go back to my thing here. You might find something interesting there that you can use to get people's attention. If not, you can go to this progress and info section and look for something that might be, to grab somebody's attention. Like this just popped off the page at me. 5.2 million children died in 2019 before reaching their 5th birthday. That is an attention getter. You're kidding me. All those little children before they were even 5 years old were dead. Well, that is eye-opening, grabbing my attention. I want to read on why are they dying. That's going to be your background paragraph showing the severity of it and the reason for it. And then in your, you're going to, of course, go on and have your solutions for it so that we feel positive that things can be done to stop these little kids from dying. But that would be an example of an introduction, an attention grabber. What are the UN Global Goals? I do not mean, and I can't say this enough, I do not mean to list what the goals are. Like goal 1 is this, goal 2 is that. I'm not talking about that. what is this unit of goals, who published them, when were they published, why were they published, and I even give you some specific language that you can pattern yours after, so that you can see that I need to let the readers know what the UN global goals are, and then I've got to narrow it down. There are 17 of them, but this is the one that you're focusing on. And then when you get finished with that, will come your claim. This is your should statement. We're going to say should, must, have to be done, because that is persuasive language. And this is, after all, a persuasive paper. It's a problem solution paper, but it's also a persuasive paper, because you're trying to persuade your readers that this is something that must be done. This is so important. How can we let these little children die? And you've got to get in there and fight for them by some of these solutions. There will be solutions. You will have to look for them, but you will find them, where different communities, different organizations, even individuals sometimes are doing things to help the problem. And when you find that, that's something that you want to put into your paper. The second paragraph is the background paragraph, and this is where you're going to show why it is a significant problem. You're going to have to bring in evidence to back that up. And by evidence, I mean facts and figures and information that you find in your various sources that you're going to be using for this paper. So keep that in mind. You're going to have 5 to 6 sources overall, but you're only going to find sources that are good academic sources. Go back to and review that SCARAB sheet. I put it on this week as well, to make sure you've got good, reliable sources. And write this stuff down too as you go when you're taking your notes. Explain how you know it's a good source, because we're going to have to use that information when we go to Core Project 2 after we finish this research paper, and you'll have to explain why those sources are good, legitimate sources that you can use. Okay, so I got so many things up here. I just want to make sure I'm back to the right thing. Okay, so here's the new document on here. This is what goes in your introduction, and this is what goes in your background paragraph. And as you're searching, we're going to come back and talk about specifically the body paragraphs next week. But as you're searching, if you see something that's a solution, go ahead and take your notes on it now, so it'll be you'll already have it when we start working next week. You never know what you're going to find until you look. And this is going to take some time, so you're just going to have to set aside several hours to get your research done. So that document should be helpful. But this one will be even more helpful. This is the one that's Core Project 3, Sample Introduction and Organizational Instructional Outline. So it's just sort of building on the other document that I gave you. So I was writing in my sample, I think I've already told you this, that in my sample, the things that I've written to show you a sample of it, I was writing on Goal 5, which is gender equality. And you can look through here and see, because I made notes on this. Here's my attention getter. According to the United Nations Sustainable Global Goals webpage, there's my signal phrase. globally, 750 million women and girls were married before the age of 18, and at least 200 million women and girls in 30 countries have undergone FGM, female genital mutilation. And I got that from the Goal 5 page. So again, look at how my in-text citation goes. And the reason this is in brackets here is because I added that. The quotation itself only said FGM, and I wanted my reader to know what FGM is because I didn't know either the first time I read it. So I put in what it stands for, female genital mutilation. Anything you add to a quotation goes in brackets. And then I have at the end, remember the quo pair punk? There's my quo, there's my pair, and there's my end sentence punctuation. And it says Goal 5. So I should be able to go to a works cited page, which I can, and find Goal 5. Notice that the works cited, because you're going to have 5 to 6 sources, the new thing that you need to learn about works cited is they need to go in alphabetical order. So I have gender ahead of goal, ahead of spotlight, and the sustainable, and UN, arrange, and women. They're all in alphabetical order for that. So my attention getter, I started with my attention getter. Then this section, this is where I am going to narrow it down, narrow the focus down from the 17 global goals to my goal. So here's what I found. Because of such atrocities like female genital mutilation, I was referring back to the attention getter there. In September of 2015, the United Nations created 17 Sustainable Global Goals, which are intended to encourage all countries, rich and poor, to promote prosperity while protecting the planet. Now, all of this is summary until I get to this part right here with the quotation marks around it. I liked that, promote prosperity while protecting the planet. It was alliterative with that initial P sound, and I just loved it, and I wanted to use it word for word. So anytime you use something word for word, you put it in quotation marks. And there's my quo, here's my pair, Sustainable Development Agenda, and there's my end punctuation. And then I've got this general information. Now they know what we're talking about when we're talking about the 17 Sustainable Global Goals. And now I'm going to narrow it down to the one that I'm writing about. And nowhere in here do I say I am writing about it. The assignment is, nowhere do I mention myself, the assignment, or anything like that. I'm writing about the goal. So one of the 17 goals is Goal 5, which is designed to help eliminate the discrimination and violence that girls encounter in every part of the world. Again, I took those words right from the source, and so I put it in quotation marks. And there's my quo pair punk right there. So that's how I narrow it down from the global goals to the specific goal. And then I'm ready for this, which is my thesis statement. So you can see over here, thesis statement. It's the claim. It's the should statement. We must do this. We should do this. We have to do this. And this is where you're going to put that language in. So to help eliminate these problems faced by girls worldwide, 3 sustainable solutions must be implemented. There's my should be implemented, must be, have to be. Ensure universal access to sexual and reproductive health and reproductive rights. So I'm going to have a paragraph that is a solution paragraph. What are people doing in order to ensure universal access? What are people in their communities doing? What are organizations doing in certain areas of the world? And then I listed a second one and a third one. And of course, I got that information from a certain page that says Spotlight. So I had to put it in there so that I can match. Here it is, the Sustainable Development Agenda. You might try clicking on that, and yeah, it still comes up, and it tells you all about what the 17 goals are right there. And you can, if you use the exact words there, though, you got to put them in quotation marks. And even if you summarize it or paraphrase it and put it in your own words, you still have to cite this source where you got it from. This is something, this would be a separate source from that first page that you went to for your particular goal. See what it looks like if I click here. So you might get a little more information here. Here's some facts and figures for you. The new updated web page also gives you the most up-to-date facts and figures there. So just remember to give credit where you got your information from. If you didn't automatically know it already yourself before you looked it up, you don't have to cite it. But if you looked it up and read it somewhere, you have to do an in-text citation as well as a works cited entry here. So, and they have to match. All right, so that's the introduction that I provided for you. In the background paragraph, you're just going to focus on the problem, bring in evidence to complete that, use information about the problems that the solutions address, and we want to know why is there such a big hubbub about, women having equal rights? And so that's what the background paragraph will do. And then you're going to end that background paragraph with a restatement of the solutions. In other words, in order to help meet this goal that has been set, these solutions must be implemented, and you're going to list them again. And then we're going to start our body paragraphs. So that document is on there and can help you with your introduction paragraph so you can see. As you're researching, we want to try to bring in as many kinds of evidence to support your essay as you can. There's rational appeal, which is logos. Logic comes from that word. The writer provides evidence for the logic of a claim. That's when you're going to bring in facts, statistics, studies, surveys, authorities. Emotional appeal, pathos, appears to the emotions of the readers or the listeners. So it's the choice of language to stir the emotion, stories that bring out empathy or anger or another strong emotion. You want to, that pathos, you can see, is the root word for sympathy, empathy. You want to have your readers really feel for these dying children or whatever it happens to be that you're writing about. And then there's the ethical appeal, ethos. This is twofold. You want everything that you use needs to be by somebody that is respectable in the field that they're writing in, and that sort of thing that builds ethos. It's also ethos covers the way that you write and the way that you are backing up what you do with evidence. That's building that ethical appeal. This is a person who knows something and is documenting properly, and it builds ethos on your behalf as you are writing. And then another meaning for ethos is it is the right thing to do. So we can bring in, you can wrap all of these things up together, but try to bring in as many kinds of evidence as you can, because not everybody will be impressed tugging at their heartstrings. Some people will want to see these facts and figures. Some people won't pay any attention to that, but they'll just be torn up over this if you give a sad story over here. But anyway, whatever you do, you need to write this as well as you can and document it with your sources, and that is going to build that ethos or ethical appeal. So what you want to do then, go ahead and set up your Google Doc in proper MLA format. Create an introduction paragraph. Make sure the claim, the thesis statement, is the last sentence in the paragraph, and uses strong language to express the 3 solutions that are necessary to help meet the goal and solve the problem. That's why I call it a should statement. They must be, it has to be done. Use an academic tone. No first person. You're not going to mention yourself or yourself as included in a group with others, we or us. And you're not going to speak directly to your audience. You're not going to use you in here. So again, here's just the reminder. Here's what goes into the introduction paragraph. Here's what goes into your background paragraph. And here is the link for you to submit your document. If you want to go ahead and write more beyond that, but I'm just looking at your thesis statement and your overall things to make sure you're on the right path to start with. And as I said, if you don't quite have your background paragraph all together, I can take a look at it, because the next week I'm going to have you show me one of your solution paragraphs so that I can make sure you're on the right track with that. So, of course, you'll get 100 for doing this, and guess what? You'll get, if you don't do it, you'll get a 0 for not doing it. So that's what we're working on this week. Get that introduction paragraph with the thesis statement written, get your background paragraph written, and continue to work and research to find those solutions that we're going to be looking at next week. If you have any problems or need anything from me along the way, just send me an email and I will be glad to help you as much as I possibly can. All righty. Well, I'll see you next time.